My name is Scarlett Mason. I'm 28 years old, and until 3 hours ago, I thought I had the perfect life. Have you ever received a note that changed everything? A piece of paper that shattered your world in seconds? That's exactly what happened to me at my daughter Emma's baby shower. Picture this: pink balloons everywhere, the smell of vanilla cake, and 20 women laughing in my living room in Denver. Emma was glowing, opening tiny baby clothes and smiling at each gift. I was the proud mom, taking pictures and making sure everyone had enough coffee. Then my son-in-law Caleb walked in. Caleb never interrupts girl parties. Never. His face was pale, his hands shaking. He walked straight to me, pressed a folded paper into my palm, and whispered 4 words that still echo in my head. "Don't go home, run." I stared at him. "What are you talking about?" But he was already backing toward the door. "Just read it, Scarlett. Please. Trust me on this one." The note was simple. 7 words in Caleb's messy handwriting. "They're coming for Garrett. Get out now." My husband Garrett? My successful lawyer husband who was supposed to be at his office reviewing contracts? The man who brought me coffee in bed every morning for 5 years? I looked around the room. Emma was laughing at something her friend said. Nobody else had noticed Caleb's strange visit. My phone buzzed with a text from Garrett. "Working late again tonight. Love you." Something cold crawled up my spine. I grabbed my purse and car keys. "Emma, honey, I need to run to the store real quick." "Mom, we have everything we need. Just forgot something important." I was already heading to my car when I saw them. 3 police cars parked outside my house 2 blocks away. My hands wouldn't stop shaking as I parked across the street from my own home. Do you know what it feels like to see your life being torn apart by strangers? To watch officers carrying boxes out of the place where you made breakfast that morning? I called Garrett. Straight to voicemail. I called his office. "Mr. Mason isn't available," his secretary said. Her voice sounded weird. Nervous. A neighbor walked by walking her dog. Mrs. Chun had lived next door for 3 years. We borrowed sugar from each other. Our kids played together. "Mrs. Chun, what's happening at my house?" She stopped, looked uncomfortable. "Scarlett, I'm so sorry. They arrested Garrett this morning. Something about stealing money from his law firm." The world tilted sideways. Garrett? Stealing? My husband who wouldn't even keep extra change when a cashier made a mistake? How much money? The news said $2 million. $2 million. The number bounced around in my head like a ping-pong ball. We lived paycheck to paycheck. Our biggest luxury was date night at Olive Garden once a month. Where was $2 million? I drove home in a daze. The police were gone, but yellow tape covered my front door like a giant bandage over a wound. I used my key to get in through the back door. The house looked like a tornado had hit it. Drawers pulled out, papers scattered everywhere, cushions thrown off the couch. Our bedroom was the worst. They had torn apart our closet, dumped out every drawer, even looked under the mattress. That's when I saw it. A small hole in the wall behind Garrett's dresser. A hole that hadn't been there this morning. I moved the heavy dresser by myself, my muscles burning. Behind it was a safe built into the wall. A safe I had never seen before in my own bedroom. Have you ever discovered that the person you trusted most had been lying to you every single day? The safe was open. Empty. But there were scratches around the lock like someone had opened it in a hurry. I ran my fingers along the metal edges. This wasn't new. The wall had been cut and repaired months ago, maybe longer. How had I never noticed? I started searching the house differently now. Not looking for what was missing, but for what was hidden. In Garrett's office, I found a loose floorboard under his desk. Inside was a manila folder stuffed with papers. Bank statements for accounts I'd never heard of. Credit cards in my name that I'd never seen. Receipts for expensive jewelry that I'd never received. But the worst part was the photos. Pictures of Garrett with other women. Lots of other women. At restaurants I'd never been to. On vacations I'd never taken. Wearing clothes I'd never bought him. One photo made my stomach drop. Garrett in a tuxedo, standing next to a woman in a white dress. She was beautiful, with long red hair and a bright smile. They looked happy. They looked married. I flipped the photo over. Written in Garrett's handwriting. Phoenix, Arizona. March 15th, 2023. March 15th, 2023. I remember that date. I was home with the flu. Garrett said he had a business conference in Chicago. He brought me soup and told me he'd miss me. He was getting married to someone else. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Is this Scarlett Mason? A woman's voice. Soft, scared. Yes. We need to talk. About Garrett. About what he's done to both of us. Who is this? My name is Vivian. I'm Garrett's wife too. The phone slipped from my hand and crashed to the floor. When I picked it up, she was still there. Vivian? I know this is crazy, but I found your number in his phone. The police called me too. They said he stole money, but that's not the worst part. What's the worst part? There's a third one, Scarlett. Another wife. Her name is Melody, and she lives in Miami. 2 days later, I was sitting in a coffee shop in Phoenix, staring at a woman who looked just like me. Vivian had the same brown hair, the same height, even the same nervous habit of twisting her wedding ring. It was like looking in a mirror, except her eyes were green instead of blue. He has a type, she said, stirring her latte. Brown hair, brown eyes, works in marketing, no close family nearby. You work in marketing too? Event planning for corporate clients. You? Social media marketing for a dental practice. The similarities were creepy. We both grew up in foster care. We both moved to new cities for college and never left. We both met Garrett at coffee shops where he was sitting alone, reading a book, looking sad and romantic. What book was he reading when you met him? I asked. The Great Gatsby. My heart sank. Same one. Vivian pulled out her phone and showed me photos. Garrett at her kitchen table. Garrett walking her dog. Garrett asleep on her couch. A whole life I knew nothing about. How long were you married? 3 years in Phoenix. But I found out he was traveling to Denver a lot for work. When the police called, I knew. She paused. How long for you? 5 years in Denver. We sat in silence, both doing the math. He had married her while he was already married to me. Did he ever drug you? Vivian asked quietly. What? Make you sleepy at weird times. Give you wine that tasted funny. Make you feel foggy and confused the next morning. My blood went cold. The wine. Garrett always poured my wine for dinner. Special wine, he said. Just for me. And I've been so tired lately, sleeping 10 hours a night, and still exhausted. Oh my God. He kept us both sleepy and confused so we wouldn't ask questions. So we wouldn't notice the money going missing from our accounts. Money's missing from my accounts. Vivian pulled out a bank statement. $40,000 over 2 years. Small amounts, so I wouldn't notice right away. I thought about my savings account. I hadn't checked it in months. Garrett handled all our finances. Said it was too stressful for me to worry about. We need to call Melody, Vivian said. The one in Miami. Do you have her number? I hired a private investigator yesterday. He found her. She handed me a piece of paper with a phone number and an address. Melody Rodriguez, Miami, Florida. Married to Garrett Mason in April 2024. April 2024. 4 months ago. My hands were shaking again as I dialed the number. Hello. Another woman's voice. Younger sounding. Hi, is this Melody? Yes, who's this? My name is Scarlett. I think we're married to the same man. 3 days later, all 3 of us were sitting in Melody's apartment in Miami. Melody was 23 years old. She had been married to Garrett for exactly 4 months and 2 weeks. She worked in social media marketing for a restaurant chain. Brown hair, brown eyes. No family nearby. I can't believe this, Melody kept saying. I can't believe this is real. She was the youngest, but she was also the angriest. While Vivian and I sat in shock, Melody paced around her living room like a caged tiger. Do you know what he told me about you too? She said, pointing at us. He said his first wife died in a car accident. Said his second wife left him for another man and broke his heart. He told me his first wife had cancer, Vivian said quietly. He told me he'd never been married before, I whispered. Melody stopped pacing. We're not just wives. We're his victims. All of us. She was right. We were all marketing professionals, all isolated from family, all trusting and naive. Garrett had chosen us carefully. How much money did he take from you? I asked Melody. $60,000. I thought we were saving for a house. 40 from me, Vivian said. I haven't even looked yet, I admitted. Melody sat down hard on her couch. That's at least $100,000, just from us. Plus whatever he stole from his law firm. The police said $2 million from the firm, I said. So, he's been planning this for years, Vivian said. Marrying us, stealing from his job. What was the endgame? Melody pulled out her laptop. I've been doing research since Vivian called me. Garrett Mason has accounts in the Cayman Islands. Offshore banking. Untraceable money. How do you know that? Because I found the paperwork. He was sloppy here, probably because I'm the newest wife. He left bank statements in our bedroom closet. She showed us printed pages. Account numbers, wire transfers, deposit slips. Millions of dollars moving around between banks I'd never heard of. He was planning to disappear, I said. Take all the money and vanish. Leaving us with nothing, Vivian added. No money, no explanation, no way to find him. Except he got caught first, Melody said with satisfaction. But then her expression changed. She stared at the bank statements, her face going pale. What is it? I asked. Look at this transfer date, she whispered. Money moved to the Cayman Islands yesterday. Yesterday. After he was already in jail. We all leaned forward to look at the paper. That's impossible, Vivian said. He's been in custody for 3 days. Unless, I said slowly, he's not the only one involved. Melody's phone rang. Unknown number. She put it on speaker. Hello, ladies. A man's voice. Smooth, confident. Not Garrett. Who is this? Someone who's been watching you. All 3 of you. Meeting up, sharing information, making plans. Very touching, really. What do you want? I want you to stop digging. Stop asking questions. Go back to your lives and forget Garrett Mason ever existed. And if we don't, then you'll join him. The line went dead. We sat in complete silence, staring at the phone. Finally, Melody spoke. Girls, I think we're in way more trouble than we realized. Have you ever felt like someone was watching you? That creepy feeling that eyes are following your every move? After that phone call, we couldn't shake it. Every car that drove by Melody's apartment felt suspicious. Every person walking past seemed to stare too long. We need professional help, I said. Someone who knows how to handle this kind of thing. Like who? Vivian asked. The police think Garrett acted alone. A private investigator, Melody said. Someone who can dig deeper than the cops. That's how we found Rex Donovan. His office was in a strip mall between a nail salon and a pizza place. Not exactly what you'd expect for someone who tracks down criminals, but his reviews were solid. Rex was nothing like I imagined. Tall, maybe 40 years old, with kind eyes and calloused hands. He looked more like a construction worker than a detective. Ladies, you're dealing with more than marriage fraud, he said after hearing our story. This is organized crime territory. What do you mean? Vivian asked. Multiple identities, offshore accounts, systematic victim selection. Your husband didn't learn this overnight. Someone taught him. Rex pulled out a thick file. I've been tracking cases like this for 2 years. Men who target isolated women, drain their accounts, then disappear. It's always the same pattern. How many women? Melody asked. In the last 5 years? Probably 50, maybe more. 50 women. 50 lives destroyed by men like Garrett. The number made me sick. But here's the thing, Rex continued. These guys don't work alone. There's always a bigger fish. Someone who recruits them, trains them, takes a cut of the profits. So Garrett has a boss. Had a boss. Past tense. What do you mean? Rex leaned forward. Garrett Mason was found dead in his jail cell this morning. The room went silent. Dead? Garrett was dead?
How?
I whispered. Officially? Suicide. Unofficially? Someone wanted him quiet permanently. My head was spinning. Relief that Garrett couldn't hurt anyone else. Fear that his death made us bigger targets. Guilt that part of me felt glad he was gone.
There's more, Rex said.
Before he died, Garrett made a phone call. Guess who he called?
Who?
A number registered to a shell company in the Cayman Islands. The same company that's been moving your stolen money. Rex pulled out bank records. Someone withdrew $2 million from those offshore accounts yesterday. The same day you three met in Miami. They're watching us, Vivian said. Worse than that, Rex replied. They're scared of you. What's worse than finding out your husband was a criminal? Finding out he was poisoning you. Rex had arranged for all three of us to get blood tests. The results came back 2 days after we learned about Garrett's death. Rohypnol, the doctor said, reading from my chart. Also known as the date rape drug. It's been in your system for months, maybe years. I stared at the paper in my hands. But I never felt drugged.
Small doses over time.
Just enough to make you sleepy, confused, compliant. You probably thought you were just tired from work stress. Vivian got the same results. So did Melody, even though she'd only been married 4 months. He drugged all of us, I said as we sat in Rex's office. Every night with dinner. The special wine, Vivian whispered. He said it was just for me because I had such refined taste. He gave me special tea, Melody added. Said it would help me sleep better. Rex shook his head. This guy was a professional. He kept you all just foggy enough that you wouldn't notice the missing money or ask too many questions about his travel. How long does it take to get out of our systems? I asked. A few more days. You'll start thinking clearer, feeling more alert. But that's when things might get dangerous. What do you mean? Whoever killed Garrett knows the drug is wearing off. Knows you're getting smarter, asking harder questions. They won't wait much longer to make a move. As if on cue, my phone rang. It was Emma, my daughter. Mom, where are you? I've been calling for days. I'm in Miami, sweetheart. Remember I told you I had to handle some things after Dad's arrest? Mom, you need to come home now. Emma's voice was shaking. Someone broke into your house last night. They trashed everything. My blood went cold. Are you okay? Are the kids okay? We're fine. We weren't there. But Mom, they left a message. Spray painted on your bedroom wall. What did it say? Emma's voice dropped to a whisper. It said, stop looking or join him. I looked at Rex, Vivian, and Melody. They could hear Emma's voice through the phone. Emma, listen to me carefully. Pack a bag for you and the kids. Go stay with Caleb's parents. Don't go back to my house. Don't go to your house. Just disappear for a few days. Mom, you're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. These people killed your father. After I hung up, the room was dead quiet. They know where we live, Vivian said. They know about our families. Then we have 2 choices, Rex said. We can run and hide, or we can fight back. How do we fight back against people who kill people in jail? Melody asked. We find them before they find us. Rex pulled out a map and spread it on his desk. I've been tracking money movements from those offshore accounts. Most of it went to 3 locations: Miami, Phoenix, and Denver. Our cities, I said. Exactly. Someone in each of your cities has been helping Garrett. Someone local. Who? That's what we need to figure out. Fast. Rex's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen, and his face went pale. What is it? I asked. Security alert from my office building. Someone just tried to break in. Through the window, I could see a black SUV parked across the street. The windows were tinted too dark to see inside, but I could feel them watching us. Rex, I said quietly, I think they found us. Do you know what it's like to realize your own daughter has been protecting you from the truth? We escaped through the back door of Rex's building and drove to a safe house he kept for emergencies. It was a tiny apartment above a Cuban restaurant, with bars on the windows and 3 different locks on the door. That's where Emma called me back. Mom, I lied to you earlier. About not knowing what Dad was doing. My heart sank. What do you mean? I've known for months. Since before the baby shower. Known what, exactly? Emma's voice was barely a whisper. About the other wives. About the money. About everything. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. My own daughter, my baby girl, had been keeping Garrett's secrets. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was scared, Mom. He said if I told anyone, he'd make sure I lost the kids. Said he had connections, people who could make it happen. Emma, there's more. She was crying now. He didn't just threaten me. He threatened Caleb too. Said he'd frame him for something if we talked. Suddenly, everything made sense. Why Caleb had looked so terrified when he gave me that note. Why Emma had seemed distant for months. Why they'd been walking on eggshells around Garrett. That's why Caleb warned me, I said. He knew they were coming to arrest Garrett, and he knew I needed to get out. Caleb works for the FBI, Mom. What? He's been undercover for 6 months, building a case against Dad. That's how he knew about the arrest. The room was spinning. Caleb, my quiet son-in-law who fixed computers for a living, was an FBI agent? Emma, where are you now? Safe house with Caleb and the kids. The FBI is protecting us. Can I talk to Caleb? He's right here. Caleb's voice came on the line. Scarlett, I'm sorry we couldn't tell you sooner. But we couldn't risk blowing the investigation. What investigation, Caleb? I thought this was just about Garrett stealing money. It started that way, but your husband was small fish. We've been after the bigger operation for 2 years. Rex leaned closer to the phone. This is Rex Donovan. I'm a private investigator helping the wives. Rex, I know who you are. We need to meet. Why? Because you're not the only one tracking this money. And the people you're chasing? They just put a bounty on all 4 of your heads. Through the apartment window, I could see another black SUV pulling up outside the restaurant. Caleb, I said, they found us again. Get out of there.
Now.
I'll send you an address. FBI's safe house in Coral Gables. What about Vivian and Melody? Bring them. It's time to end this thing. As we grabbed our bags and headed for the back stairs, Melody grabbed my arm. Scarlett, look at this. She showed me her phone. A news alert from Denver. Local marketing executive found dead in apparent home invasion. The photo showed a woman with brown hair and brown eyes. She looked just like us. That's Garrett's 4th wife, Melody whispered. The one we never found. Have you ever had to run for your life from people you couldn't even see? The FBI's safe house looked like every other house on the quiet street in Coral Gables. White stucco, red tile roof, palm trees in the front yard. But inside, it was all business. Computers everywhere. Phones ringing constantly. Men and women in suits talking quietly into earpieces. This was war, and we were just finding out we'd been soldiers all along. Caleb introduced us to Agent Sarah Martinez, a woman about my age with short black hair and intense eyes. Ladies, you've stumbled into the middle of a human trafficking operation, she said. Garrett wasn't just stealing money. He was recruiting victims. Victims for what? Vivian asked. Forced labor. Mostly overseas. Women with no family, no support system, no one to report them missing. The room went cold. We weren't just wives. We were supposed to disappear. How many women? Melody asked. In the last 5 years? Over 200. Most of them are dead now. Agent Martinez pulled out a map covered in red pins. Denver, Phoenix, Miami, Houston, Atlanta, Seattle. 6 major cities, 6 recruitment hubs. And Garrett ran the Denver hub? Garrett was middle management. Each hub has a supervisor who recruits local men like your husband. Men who are charming, educated, desperate for money. Who's running the whole operation? We've been trying to figure that out for 2 years. The money trail leads to shell companies in the Cayman Islands, but the real boss stays hidden. Rex leaned forward. What changed? Why are they trying to kill us now instead of just making us disappear? Because you 3 did something none of their other victims ever did, Agent Martinez said. You found each other. She pulled out a thick file. In 2 years of investigation, we've never had victims connect before. You're the first ones to compare notes, share information, fight back. So we scared them? You terrified them. 3 women working together, sharing evidence, hiring investigators? That's their worst nightmare. Agent Martinez's phone buzzed. She looked at it and frowned. What is it? Caleb asked. Intel from our Miami field office. They intercepted communications from that offshore account. Someone just authorized a hit squad. For us. All 4 of you. Rex included. Through the window, I could see unmarked cars positioning themselves around the house. FBI agents checking their weapons, talking into radios. How long do we have?
I asked.
They're already in the city. Probably watching this house right now. So, what's the plan? Agent Martinez smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. We use you as bait. Excuse me? These people have stayed hidden for years by being careful. But you've made them desperate, and desperate people make mistakes. We're going to give them a chance to come after you. And then what? Then we follow them back to their boss. Suddenly, all the lights in the house went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, casting everything in red shadows. Outside, I could hear car doors slamming, footsteps running across gravel. They're here, Rex said quietly. Agent Martinez was already moving, pulling a gun from her shoulder holster. Ladies, remember what I said about desperate people making mistakes? Let's hope I was right. Through the front window, I could see men in black moving through the yard. They had automatic weapons and moved like soldiers. How many of them are there? Vivian whispered. Caleb was counting at his window. I see 6, maybe 8. Against how many FBI agents? 12 agents in the house, 20 more outside. So we have them outnumbered? Scarlett, Agent Martinez said grimly, these aren't regular criminals. They're professionals. This is going to be ugly. The first gunshot shattered the front window. What happens when the hunter becomes the hunted? Glass exploded everywhere as bullets ripped through the safe house windows. Agent Martinez pushed us down behind an overturned table while FBI agents returned fire from strategic positions. Stay down, Martinez shouted over the gunfire. Whatever happens, do not move from this spot. But I could see Rex across the room, pinned behind a couch with no cover. A man in black gear was circling around to get a clear shot at him. Rex, I yelled. He looked over at me, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Not fear. Determination. Scarlett, there's something I need to tell you, he called out during a brief pause in the shooting.
What?
I'm not really a private investigator. Another burst of gunfire cut him off. When it stopped, he continued. I'm FBI. I've been undercover for 18 months, tracking the same operation as Caleb. My head was spinning. Rex was FBI? How many people in my life had been lying to me? Why didn't you tell us? Because I needed you to act natural. If you knew I was federal, you might have been too careful, too scared to take risks. You used us as bait. I protected you. Every step of the way. More gunshots. This time they were getting closer. I could hear men shouting outside, coordinating their attack. Agent Martinez was talking rapidly into her radio. We need backup. They've got military-grade weapons. Repeat, we need immediate backup. Then I heard something that made my blood freeze. A man's voice shouting from outside. Scarlett Mason. Vivian Torres. Melody Rodriguez. Come out now, and we'll make this quick. They knew our names. Our real names. How do they know who we are? Melody whispered. Because, said a new voice from the kitchen doorway, I told them. We all turned. A woman walked into the room, holding a gun pointed at Agent Martinez. She was tall, blonde, maybe 50 years old. Professional looking, like a lawyer or a businesswoman. Who are you? Martinez demanded. Someone who's been watching this little operation for a very long time. The woman smiled coldly. My name is Victoria Blackwood. I run the Denver recruitment hub. Garrett's boss, I breathed. Garrett's former boss. He got sloppy, started leaving evidence around. Started caring too much about his victims. She looked directly at me. Started actually falling in love with his wives instead of just using them. What? Oh yes, Scarlett. Didn't you know? Garrett really did love you. All 3 of you. in his own twisted way. That's why he tried to protect you when things went bad. The gunfire outside was getting closer. I could hear FBI agents shouting orders, but they sounded desperate. He was going to expose the whole operation to keep you safe, Victoria continued. So, we had to eliminate him. You killed him. I had him killed. Just like I'm going to have all of you killed. Rex slowly raised his hands. Victoria, you don't need to do this. We can make a deal. Agent Donovan, there are no deals. This organization has been running for 10 years. We've made hundreds of millions of dollars. 3 little housewives and a couple of FBI agents aren't going to shut us down. What about the 4th wife? Melody asked suddenly. The one who died in Denver? Victoria's smile got wider. Sarah Chin wasn't Garrett's 4th wife. She was my replacement recruit. I needed someone to take over the Denver operations after Garrett died. But she looked just like us. Of course she did. That's the profile. Brown hair, brown eyes, works in marketing, no family. Easy to control, easy to dispose of when necessary. Through the broken window, I could see FBI agents retreating. We were losing this fight. The only question now, Victoria said, is whether you want to die here, or whether you want to come with me and disappear quietly like you were supposed to months ago. Agent Martinez still had her gun, but Victoria's was pointed right at her head. What's it going to be, ladies? Before anyone could answer, Rex moved.
Fast.
He lunged across the room and tackled Victoria just as her gun went off. The bullet missed Agent Martinez by inches and shattered a lamp behind her. Run! Rex yelled as he struggled with Victoria on the floor. Get out of here now. But as we headed for the back door, Victoria managed to get one more word out before Rex could silence her. Wait until you meet my boss. Her boss? Victoria wasn't the top of the organization? Outside, I could hear helicopters approaching. Sirens in the distance. The cavalry was finally coming. But as we reached the back door, Agent Martinez grabbed my arm. Scarlett, there's something else. Something we found in Garrett's personal effects that changes everything. What? She handed me a cell phone. Speed dial number 1. Look at the name. I looked at the phone screen. Speed dial number 1. Mom. Victoria Blackwood isn't just Garrett's boss, Martinez said quietly. She's his mother. Have you ever discovered that everything you thought you knew was a lie? Garrett's mother. The woman who raised him, loved him, taught him right from wrong. She was the one running a human trafficking ring. That's impossible, I whispered, staring at the phone. Garrett told me his mother died when he was 12. Garrett told you a lot of things, Agent Martinez said as FBI backup finally arrived. Most of them were lies. Through the chaos of agents securing the scene and paramedics checking Rex's injuries from his fight with Victoria, I couldn't stop thinking about family dinners that never happened. Holiday cards from a dead grandmother. Stories about growing up poor and alone. All lies. Victoria Blackwood has been running this operation for 15 years, Martinez explained as we sat in a new safe house an hour later. She recruited her own son when he turned 18. What kind of mother does that? Vivian asked. The kind who sees her child as a business asset instead of a human being. Rex, nursing a black eye and split lip, pulled out his laptop. I've been tracking the Blackwood family for months. Victoria's husband died in prison when Garrett was 10. Drug trafficking charges. So crime runs in the family, Melody said bitterly. Gets worse, Rex continued. Victoria has 2 other sons. Marcus runs the Phoenix hub where Vivian lived. Daniel runs the Miami operation. My stomach dropped. You mean? All 3 of you were married to brothers. Victoria's sons. The room went silent. Brothers. We had all been married to brothers, and none of us knew it. The family resemblance makes sense now, I said, thinking about photos I'd seen of Marcus and Daniel. They all had the same eyes, the same smile, the same training, Agent Martinez added. Victoria taught all 3 boys the same techniques. How to identify targets, how to gain trust, how to control victims. Where are Marcus and Daniel now? Rex asked. That's the problem. We lost track of them after the safe house attack. They could be anywhere. Rex's computer chimed with an incoming message. He looked at the screen, and his face went pale. Agent Martinez looked grim. Because the trafficking was just the beginning. She was planning to sell the database to other criminal organizations. Your personal information, your families, your identities. Sell them for what? Identity theft on a massive scale. Credit fraud, tax fraud, insurance fraud. She was going to destroy hundreds of lives even after the trafficking operation ended. My blood went cold. How many women are in the database? Over 1,000. And now that database is locked in FBI evidence, and Victoria Blackwood is in federal custody. But her sons still have copies. Through the window, I could see the warehouse in the distance. Dark, isolated, surrounded by empty parking lots. Agent Martinez, when this is over, what happens to us? If you survive, you go home. You rebuild your lives. You heal. And if we don't survive, then 1,000 other women spend the rest of their lives looking over their shoulders. No pressure at all. Have you ever walked into a place knowing you might never walk out? The warehouse was exactly what I expected. Dark, cold, smelling like oil and rust. Our footsteps echoed as we walked through the entrance, hands raised to show we weren't armed. That's far enough, called a voice from the shadows. Marcus Blackwood stepped into the light. He looked just like Garrett, but meaner. Harder around the edges. The 3 little wives, he said with a cruel smile. Finally ready to join the family business? We're here, I said. Let the other women go. Oh, I don't think so. See, plans have changed. Daniel Blackwood emerged from behind a stack of shipping containers. Another brother, another version of the same face. Our mother is very upset with you ladies, Daniel said. You cost us a lot of money today. Rex cleaned out your accounts? Vivian asked, trying not to sound hopeful. $300 million.
Gone.
Just like that. Marcus snapped his fingers. You have any idea how hard it is to steal $300 million? 15 years, I said. 15 years of destroying women's lives. 15 years of smart business, Daniel corrected. Until you 3 got clever. I looked around the warehouse. It was too quiet. Where were the 12 armed guards we'd been expecting? Looking for our security team? Marcus asked, noticing my confusion. Funny thing about hired muscle. When the paychecks stop coming, loyalty goes right out the window. So Rex's plan had worked. The men had walked away when they learned the money was gone. Which means it's just us, Daniel said. Family taking care of family business. Where are the other women? Melody demanded. Marcus gestured toward the back of the warehouse. Safe and sound. For now. Show us. First, you're going to do something for us. Daniel pulled out a laptop and set it on a wooden crate. You're going to help us rebuild our operation. Like hell we are. Oh, but you are. See, that database Agent Martinez told you about? We still have copies. 1,000 women's personal information. My heart sank. Of course they knew about our conversation with Martinez. They'd probably been listening the whole time. Here's the deal, Marcus continued. You're going to help us contact every woman in that database. You're going to convince them to invest in a new business opportunity. Something that sounds legitimate. And if we refuse, then we kill the 3 women we're holding. Then we hunt down your families. Your daughter Emma, your grandbabies. Daniel opened the laptop. We've already picked out the first targets. Soccer moms in Denver. Young professionals in Phoenix. The college students in Miami. All women who trust other women, Marcus added. All women who would believe 3 survivors, like yourselves, when you tell them about an amazing opportunity. I felt sick. They wanted us to become recruiters. To do to other women what had been done to us. We won't do it. Then you'll die here. Tonight. Fine by us. Marcus looked surprised. Really? You'd rather die than make a few phone calls? We'd rather die than become like you. That's when I heard it. A sound from the back of the warehouse. Footsteps. Lots of footsteps. Expecting company? I asked. Marcus and Daniel exchanged worried looks. Nobody else knows about this place. The footsteps got closer. Then I heard a voice I recognized. FBI. Nobody move. Agent Martinez's voice echoed through the warehouse, followed by a dozen other agents shouting orders. Marcus pulled out a gun. How did they find us? Rex stepped out from behind a shipping container, holding up his phone. GPS tracker. I've been broadcasting our location since we walked in. You said to come alone. We did come alone. The FBI just happened to follow us. Daniel was backing toward the rear exit, but more agents appeared to block his path. It's over. Agent Martinez called out. You're surrounded. But Marcus wasn't giving up. He grabbed me, pressing the gun to my head. Maybe. But I'm taking one of them with me. What do you do when the person pointing a gun at you is the brother of a man you once loved? Let her go, Marcus. Agent Martinez called out. There's nowhere to run. There's always somewhere to run, Marcus replied, pressing the gun harder against my temple. My family's been running cons for 3 generations. I could feel his heartbeat through his chest, fast and desperate. This wasn't a man in control anymore. This was a cornered animal. Your mother's in federal custody, Martinez said. Your operation's finished. Don't make this worse for yourself. Worse. Marcus laughed, but it sounded hollow. Lady, I've been looking at life in prison since I turned 18. My mother made sure of that. What do you mean? You think I chose this life? You think any of us chose this? He jerked his head toward Daniel, who was also being held at gunpoint by agents. She started training us when we were kids. How to read people, how to lie convincingly, how to make women trust you. I could hear the pain in his voice. Even killers had mothers. Even criminals had childhoods. She used to practice on us, Marcus continued. Make us lie to neighbors, teachers, anyone who might ask questions about bruises or why we missed so much school. That doesn't excuse what you did, I said quietly. No, it doesn't. But it explains it. Marcus, Agent Martinez called out. We know about the other women. Sarah, Jennifer, and Lisa. Where are they? They're alive. Locked in a storage room in the back. Are they hurt? Hungry?
Scared.
But alive. I felt a tiny bit of relief. At least we might save someone today. Here's what's going to happen, Marcus said. I'm going to walk out of here with Scarlett. When I'm safely away, I'll call and tell you where to find the other women. You know we can't let you do that. Then they starved to death in a locked room. The warehouse went silent except for the sound of Marcus breathing heavily in my ear. I could smell his fierce sweat, feel his hand shaking as he held the gun. Marcus, I said softly, what would Garrett want you to do right now? Garrett's dead. But if he wasn't, if he was here, watching this, what would he tell you? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. He'd tell me to let you go. Why? Because toward the end he was different. Started talking about wanting out, wanting to protect his wives instead of using them. He loved us, I said. In his own broken way, he really did love us. Yeah, and it got him killed. No, Marcus. Staying in this life got him killed. Love would have saved him. I could feel Marcus's grip loosening slightly. The gun wasn't pressed as hard against my head. It's not too late, I continued. You could testify against your mother, help the FBI shut down the whole network. Help us save those 1,000 women whose information she stole. And then what? Spend the rest of my life in witness protection. Spend the rest of your life as a free man instead of your mother's puppet. Marcus was quiet again. When he spoke, his voice was different. Younger.
Sadder.
She never hugged us, you know. Never said she loved us. Just told us what cons to run, what lies to tell. That's not love, Marcus. That's abuse. I know. Slowly, very slowly, I felt the gun move away from my head. Agent Martinez, Marcus called out. If I surrender now, if I cooperate fully, what kind of deal can you offer me? That depends on how much you help us. Marcus lowered the gun completely and stepped away from me. Then let's make a deal. As FBI agents moved in to arrest both brothers, Marcus looked at me one more time. Scarlett. Yeah, I'm sorry. For all of it. You deserved better than our family. We all deserved better, Marcus. including you. 6 months later, I was standing in front of a room full of women who looked just like me. Brown hair, brown eyes, scared expressions, holding tissues. They'd all been victims of romance scams, financial fraud, identity theft. Some had been married to fake husbands. Others had been tricked by fake boyfriends, fake business partners, fake friends. All of them had been chosen because they were isolated, trusting, and easy to control. "My name is Scarlett Mason," I said to the group. "And 6 months ago, I discovered that my husband of 5 years was a fraud, a thief, and part of a human trafficking ring." The women leaned forward. This was their story too, in different versions. I also discovered that I wasn't alone, that there were other victims, other women, who'd been targeted by the same organization. And when we came together, when we stopped hiding and started fighting back, we were able to shut down a 15-year criminal operation. Behind me, Vivian and Melody nodded encouragingly. We'd been doing these support group meetings every week, helping women who'd been targeted by romance scams and fraud rings. "The most important thing I learned," I continued, "is that shame belongs to the criminals, not to us. We were victims of professional con artists who spent years perfecting their techniques." "But how do we trust people again?" asked a woman named Carol. "How do we know who's real?" "You learn," Melody answered. "You get better at seeing the red flags. You trust your instincts. You ask questions. And you don't go through it alone," Vivian added. "That's why we started this support group and why we're opening 3 more in Denver, Phoenix, and Seattle." I looked around the room at 25 women in various stages of healing. Some were angry, some were sad, some were ready to move forward. All of them were survivors. "We also have good news," I said. "The FBI recovered over $300 million from the Blackwood organization's accounts. Every victim is getting their money back." The room erupted in surprised murmurs. Most of these women had given up on ever seeing their stolen savings again. Additionally, I continued, Victoria Blackwood was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Marcus and Daniel Blackwood are serving 20-year sentences in exchange for their cooperation in shutting down similar operations across the country. "What about the other victims?" Carol asked. "The women who were trafficked?" 43 women have been rescued and are receiving medical care and counseling. Sarah, Jennifer, and Lisa, the 3 women we helped rescue from the warehouse, are all doing well and have started their own advocacy organization. After the meeting ended and the women had left, Vivian, Melody, and I sat in the empty community center where we held our sessions. "Remember when we thought our biggest problem was being married to the same man?" Vivian said with a small smile. "Simpler times," I agreed. Melody pulled out her phone and showed us a text message. Emma sent this earlier. Pictures from her daughter's first birthday party. The photos showed Emma, Caleb, and their 2 beautiful children at a park, surrounded by friends and family. Everyone was smiling, laughing, safe. "She looks happy," I said. "We all look happy," Vivian pointed out. She was right. In the months since the Blackwood organization had been shut down, all of us had started healing. Vivian had opened her own event planning business in Phoenix. Melody had moved back to Denver and was working as a social media consultant for small businesses. I'd started a nonprofit organization helping fraud victims navigate the legal system. "I never thought I'd say this," I said, "but I'm grateful it happened." "Grateful?" Melody raised an eyebrow. "Not grateful for the trauma, or the fear, or almost getting killed, but grateful that it led us to each other. Grateful that it showed us how strong we really are. Grateful that we stopped a criminal organization that was destroying lives," Vivian added. "And grateful that we turned our worst experience into our greatest purpose," Melody finished. My phone buzzed with a message from Rex, who had returned to his FBI work, but stayed in touch with all of us. The message was simple. "Proud of you ladies. You're changing the world." As we locked up the community center and walked to our cars, I thought about everything that had led to this moment. The note from Caleb. The discovery of Garrett's lies. Meeting Vivian and Melody. Fighting back against people who seemed impossible to defeat. Sometimes the worst betrayal leads to the most beautiful redemption. Sometimes the people who try to destroy you end up showing you exactly how strong you really are. And sometimes, when you think you're completely alone, you find a sisterhood that will change your life forever. Same time next week? Vivian called out as she got in her car. Wouldn't miss it, I replied, because we weren't just survivors anymore. We were warriors, and we had work to do.